What does ChatGPT think about Count Dooku versus Darth Maul? Welcome to Argue with a Droid, and today we're going to answer that very question. Let's see what it thinks. So we are using GPT-5. Maul versus Dooku, stripped of force powers, relying on pure blade work, reflex, and endurance. This becomes a fascinating thought experiment because it pits two very different archetypes of duelist against each other. I agree too. Darth Maul, I think the reason he's so cool is his force powers he uses to augment his physicality. So he has basically like unlimited endurance and he's an incredible martial artist. So he was trained to be peak assassin. And then of course Count Dooku with decades of experience as a Jedi prior to becoming or turning to the dark side. He is a master at Form 2 Makashi, so he of course has and is known as one of the best lightsaber combatants in the galaxy. So let's see what GPT says here. Darth Maul, the Predator in motion. I like that. Maul's fighting style is acrobatic, animalistic, and punishing. His mastery of Juyo, Form 7, also called Vapad in its later form. Is that true, guys? I don't think that's true. I think Juyo is its own form and Vapad was created by Mace Windu. I think that's not right. Anyway, emphasizing unpredictability, relentless offense, and feral aggression. Add to that his iconic double-bladed saber, which doubles his attack vectors and allows him to control space with whirling arcs. Without force pushes or flips, his physical conditioning still gives him an edge. I didn't think about that because I instructed this simulation to be without force power, so I guess that means he wouldn't be using it to augment his physical abilities. It says he's a powerhouse trained to endure prolonged high-intensity duels. His drawback, Juyo thrives on momentum. If the rhythm is broken, his aggression can work against him, leaving him open for a more calculating opponent. I think that's probably true. I'm a little bummed that Maul fell to Obi-Wan. I wonder, does anyone know, was Obi-Wan using his aggression when he killed Maul, or when he cut Maul in half? Of course, Maul survived in canon, but was he channeling his anger in that moment? Was he dipping his toes into the dark side, I wonder? Count Dooku, the dueling aristocrat. Dooku is the epitome of refinement. He preferred Form Makashi. So this is Form 2, which is true. Essentially a fencing art, precise, efficient, minimal wasted movement. His curved hilt saber enhances angle control, giving him superiority in tight blade to blade contexts. I do know that's true. If you all have read the Darth Bane trilogy, which I highly recommend, it's so good. The first book in that trilogy is really great. It goes into great detail on the various forms. You get to learn from dueling teachers in the academy on Korriban. So in any case, Maul, and actually there's a Zabrak in that book as well, who's kind of similar to Maul. It says, where Maul overwhelms, Dooku dismantles. He exploits overextensions, redirects energy, and punishes impatience. True. His drawback, Makashi was designed to counter single-blade duelists, not necessarily exotic weapons like Maul's saber staff. Against broad sweeping strikes, his economy of motion could be tested. So again, in book 1 of the Darth Bane trilogy, the curved hilt is actually talked about as giving more leverage, allowing for kind of angle of attacks that aren't normally available to someone who's using kind of a straight hilt. And then it also talks about double-bladed lightsabers. But here's the thing, one of the really key points that they make about double-bladed lightsabers is that if you know where one of the blades are, you automatically know where the other are, or you automatically know where the other blade is. I need more coffee this morning. So even though it kind of increases or doubles your attack vectors, if you know where one blade is, you automatically know where the other is because, again, they're interconnected. They can't be separated. So the duel would open with Maul's ferocity. GPT says spinning, slashing with both ends, driving Dooku on the defensive. Dooku would initially give ground, conserving energy and analyzing Maul's rhythm. Where Maul thrives on chaos, Dooku thrives on composure. In mid-fight, Dooku's precision would start to tell. He'd avoid matching strength for strength, instead target Maul's wrists and staff mid-shaft, where leverage is weaker. Dooku's fencing training is designed to exploit exactly those structural weak points. Critical factor: without force pushes or acrobatics, Maul loses some of his shock and awe arsenal. I agree. I think that's true. His saber staff is dangerous, but Dooku's technical mastery is a direct counter. In a drawn-out duel, Maul's stamina is superb, but Dooku's efficiency bleeds his opponent's energy over time. So I had GPT incorporate outcome odds. So it gives Dooku a 65% chance of victory. Superior technique, composure, and blade precision wins the day. I don't know, you all. I mean, Dooku is incredible at lightsaber combat. One of my favorite scenes for this is when he fights Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars in the arc that traces Sifo Dyas when they are with the Pikes. Dooku ends up coming to kill the former Chancellor's assistant, so that way he cannot reveal any information to Anakin and Obi-Wan. And that fight scene between Obi-Wan, Anakin versus Dooku is so good. So I do love that, and I do think that demonstrates his technicality. Maul victory is 30%. If he overwhelms Dooku early on before the count finds his rhythm, Maul can cut him down. True. Mutual kill or stalemate, 5%. Possible if Maul's wild style forces a trade. Let's read some of these questions. Would Maul's double-bladed saber ultimately be a disadvantage against Dooku's Makashi precision? I don't think so. I doubt it. I think Dooku is experienced enough where that would not be an issue. Does raw physicality outweigh refinement when both duelists are denied the Force? Well, that's an interesting question. Maybe. I think Maul is certainly, there's no doubt about it, Maul is in far better shape than Dooku. His physicality, I think, would definitely be a huge factor if neither of them could use the Force for any kind of augmentations. So maybe that actually does put Maul much higher. In fact, I think it does. Could Maul's psychological ferocity break Dooku's composure, or would the Count's disdain for savage style make him even deadlier? Interesting. Could Maul's psychological ferocity break Dooku's composure? No, I doubt it. This is less a clash of equals than a duel between a storm and a scalpel. I like that. The question is whether the storm can land before the scalpel finds its mark. I think denied of force powers, Maul actually should be ranked much higher. I will note this though. I ran a similar simulation through Grok. It gave it exactly the same percentage chance. Dooku was 65% victory. So that is interesting to me. Let's see. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to do another round of this, except this time with force powers, see where that leaves us. So what do you all think? Who wins if both opponents are denied of force abilities? I look forward to hearing your comments, and as always, may the force be with you.